It took me about 6 months on my first channel to get my first 1,000 subscribers, which was an awesome milestone. I felt incredible and I learned a lot. And I honestly think if you watch this video, you can get it in a lot quicker than I did because I did a lot of stumbling. And I'm hoping to use these things on my new channel. And it's really not that complicated. It's just about working smarter instead of harder. So I'm going to talk about 3 steps I took to get my first 1,000 subscribers, and then talk a little bit about a secret sauce that kind of helps you through those 3 steps. So the first step, which actually comes before even really starting your channel, is differentiation. YouTube is super saturated. No matter what niche you're in, every niche has a lot of videos. Every niche is saturated. Every niche kind of has a million videos on every single topic. Like everything's been done is what I'm trying to say. And so you need to bring something different to the table, but you can't bring it differently by topic unless you find something hyper niche. Instead, you have to bring it through your value and through your point of view. I know that sounds kind of abstract, so just bear with me, but just think about whatever you're passionate about, that's going to be your niche. But what do you bring to that table? What is your perspective? So for me, in the fitness space for my first channel, Gym Over 30, fitness is crazy saturated, probably one of the most saturated niches. And I knew I was passionate about it. And so that's why it was my first channel. And the differentiator was that I want to bring a more regular guy working a 9 to 5, have a partner, have hobbies, have friends, don't want to live in the gym. I just brought a regular guy, positive attitude to fitness that I think was kind of missing from a lot of the bodybuilding content, people living in the gym, and then sometimes some of the more aggressive content that was out there. And I kind of found that, hey, I can kind of bring something different. And honestly, with this channel where I'm trying to help people through YouTube, I'm not going for more like hustle bro, optimize, AI automate your channel, but instead a deeply empathetic perspective of understanding the human condition, understanding the creative journey, being aware of the financial realities, and just coming to you from a very empathetic human perspective. So I've always feel like differentiation before you start is really important. There are some niches I've even thought about going into, like making music reviews or movie reviews, that I ultimately didn't decide to do because I didn't feel, and I was honest with myself, I didn't feel like I had anything special to bring to the table. But with fitness and with YouTube growth, I feel like I have something special to bring. It's not hubris because there are other niches I'm passionate about that I'm genuinely like, I don't have anything special to bring. I think if I made a channel about movies, I don't think I would say anything unique. Same with music. I would just kind of blabber. That's going to go a long way because what you'll find when you differentiate yourself, even when you get 50 views or 100 views, you'll find comments being like, hey, this is a breath of fresh air. This is really nice. I've had videos that got like 100 views and one comment's like, this channel is a breath of fresh air. And that helped me see that, hey, that's the 0 to 1 of like, I got one person to kind of believe in what I'm doing. So that's step 1. And that actually happens before you start your channel. And I think people don't really talk about it. They talk about upload settings. They talk about just putting out a bunch of content. And there's a bit of truth to the putting out a bunch of content, but I think before you start, you need to know how are you going to differentiate yourself. So the second step is experimentation. The biggest thing you learn about YouTube is that you never really know what's going to hit. This is where you just need to experiment a lot. So on my first fitness channel, a lot of my early videos are unlisted because I was trying a bunch of different topics. I went from talking about getting older and working out as you get older. I was talking about Hollywood fitness culture and some societal things. I would talk about kind of fitness mindset and how to be positive. And then ultimately, the video that really popped off that kind of really tightened my niche was when I started talking about kettlebells, which is how I train in the gym. And that video, I went from getting 50 to 100 views where that video suddenly started going up and up and up. And now I think it just passed 80,000 views and it's still getting views a year later. And so you never know what's going to hit. And then that's where the experimentation comes in. Keep experimenting and make sure that when you're experimenting, you still only experiment with topics you're genuinely passionate about, because the curse of a viral video is you make something just because it's trendy and then you might get a lot of views and then people want sequels to that because that ends up becoming your audience. So luckily I was passionate about kettlebells, because imagine if I had made that and I didn't like kettlebells, but I was like, oh, I should make a video about kettlebells. And then now my audience is mostly people who want more kettlebell content. It kind of, like, a viral video can kind of like kill your channel in that way. So make sure the experimentation comes with a level of passion under every video, even though you're passionate about a lot of different things. I talked about kettlebells, but I kind of brought my regular guy perspective to it. Then I then that led me to step 3. And that's when consistency really matters. Consistency always matters. People talk about being consistent at the start, but I think that's step 3. I think once you figure out, hey, this video hits, and because I made a video I was passionate about, I knew that if it went viral, I'll double down. And then I just made kettlebell videos every week for a year. And now the channel is almost at 7,000 subscribers. And so that's when consistency matters. And it's almost like not much more to say other than just keep trying, keep doubling down on what worked. But I think sometimes people have a cynical take to it where they're just like, so you just make the same video again and again. And I don't see it that way. I see it as finding a bunch of different angles to approach the same topic. So with kettlebells, I talked about the benefits of kettlebells for strength in one video, then muscle in one video, endurance in one video, mobility in another video. Then you talk about different workouts. You talk about how within a workout, what are the different benefits? And that becomes a video. You can do interviews where you hear about someone else. So that's when a lot of creativity comes, where you take a niche, you have some constraints, but then you're like, oh, how can I inspire people from this angle? Because even on this new channel, someone might be inspired from one of the videos of how YouTube changed my life in 1 year. That inspires them to start a YouTube channel. Like, it's very direct. But I also have videos about just the creative journey. And maybe they're not inspired yet to start a YouTube channel just by hearing how someone else started a YouTube channel, but maybe hearing about creativity as a concept, thinking of maybe a video about why to stop consuming so much content. That could create the spark. Or maybe even hearing about the financial benefits of doing YouTube, that creates the spark. So it's like finding all these different angles of consistency and just keep going. And then now you're on your way. So those are the 3 steps. And I believe those 3 steps got me to not just 1,000 subscribers, but to 2,000, 6,000, almost 7,000. At that point, once you get your first 1,000 subscribers, you kind of have the blueprint to just keep on going. So the last thing I'll say is with those 3 steps, there's something that underlies that, and that secret sauce is a bit of delusion. And I know that sounds funny, but you kind of need to be a little crazy to do YouTube. I really believe that you're putting videos on the internet, trying to build an audience enough so people spend their time watching you and maybe even spend their money on your products and services. And when you're getting 20 views a video, it's actually the rational thing to do in some ways to quit. It actually takes a level of delusion to be like, this video might get 20 views, but my next video could get 50,000. And that sounds delusional, but that's literally what happened on my first channel. One of my videos, the video before my viral video, was my worst ever performing video. I think it got like 40 views, and then my next video went viral. And so you need a level of delusion, and you also need a level of delusion to understand, hey, this video might not be hitting now, but 6 months it could get picked up by the algorithm. It can just build and build. Maybe it gets picked up in search, picked up in browse, maybe it just gets shared a lot and kind of builds a cult following around that video. So you just have to have a level of delusion that like, hey, I believe in what I'm doing. If you just see YouTube as this get rich quick scheme or something really soulless, you can't have that level of like childlike delusion of like, hey, I believe in this deep in my heart, deep in my soul. That's going to get you through those tough moments. So have that level of delusion on your way to 1,000 subscribers, and you'll get there. Don't give up. I mean, I did in 6 months. That's actually technically considered kind of fast. So I hope with this video you might get there in 2 or 3 months, but a lot of people take a year or 2 years to get there. But then things get exponential after that. It took me 6 months to get 1,000 subscribers on my first channel. And then I think somewhere between 4,000 to 5,000, it took me like 3 weeks. So it's not linear. So just keep going. And yeah, I totally believe in you. And if you want to hear more about my journey, you can watch this video here about how YouTube changed my life in 1 year. Or if you just need some creative inspiration, you can watch this video about kind of coming back to your creative life after losing creativity over the span of months, years, or even decades. So I'll see you in one of those videos, and thanks so much for watching.